Hey guys, what's up? It's Savannah. Welcome back to another episode of My Thoughts Exactly. Thank you guys so much for joining me here today. If you're new here, hi, my name is Savannah. I'm your host of My Thoughts Exactly. And before we get started, make sure you go ahead, hit that subscribe button. That way you never miss an episode. We post weekly here on the podcast every single Friday. You're not going to want to miss it. We also upload the video version onto YouTube on Fridays as well. So make sure you're subscribed. And with that being said, you guys, happy Friday. I hope you all have had a great week thus far. And if you haven't, guess what? It's Friday. It's the weekend. You did it. You made it. Happy Friday, you guys. I want to thank all of you for all of your kind words and words of encouragement on my crash out last week. I felt very seen, very heard. You guys were so funny. You're coming here talking about your thoughts. This podcast is literally called My Thoughts Exactly. Like, why are you apologizing? And I just felt like it was a very safe space. So I really thank you for just giving me the moment to just rant, to just go, to just talk. So I really appreciate it. And I did want to let you know I've kept up with my end of the bargain. I told you last week that we're going to be trying something new. At least I'm going to try once a week. If that gets a little overwhelming, maybe every 2 weeks. But my goal is once a week trying something different. I will say I had a brand new workout class scheduled for Monday. I may or may not have missed that. I did miss it actually because I forgot what time it was at. I thought it was at 9:30 and it was at 8:30. So your girl missed that. And then Hayden and I, it just felt like at this point I was like, maybe the universe just doesn't want this for me. But then Hayden and I were going to go to like a little, in Nashville, they have these things called like sound stadium games. And they're essentially just like, they're not little league baseball, but like, they're definitely not professional. It's like the minor of minor leagues, whatever that is. It's kind of that vibe. And it's just fun. You go, you get a beer and like whatever, and you just go. And we were going to go to that. And so we were going to get tickets transferred to go to that. Those tickets never came through. So then we were like, okay, now we have to pivot. And we went on a little impromptu date night, which was actually really fun. I really enjoyed that spontaneity. And then I went and had lunch by myself. That was really nice and kind of, it was a time. That was yesterday. I had lunch by myself at this little place that I like to go and do work at. And so I also did work in a different environment. It wasn't new, but having lunch by myself was new because I haven't done that before. And I couldn't have my laptop out. They're like very strict about laptops and stuff and like where you can be in your workspace. And I couldn't be in my workspace in this specific spot. And so I was just like sitting there having lunch by myself. I did have to have a glass of wine at 11 o'clock in the morning in order to get through it, but it's okay. We did it. So that was my little something new of the week. And so I've been trying. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't think the universe wants this for me, but we are persevering and we're pushing through. Let me know what your guys' little new hobby of the week is, if you have tried one already. If not, you can use a weekend for it. The weekend is here. We can do it then. I also want to point out, if you're watching me on YouTube, I am wearing a white t-shirt. I think it feels unnatural. I want to be covered. I want to wear a big cozy sweatshirt and just like sit on my chair and talk to you guys. But I am running to an appointment with my dad. I'm either going to split this up into 2 parts and either film the rest of it when I get back, because I don't think I'm going to be able to film the whole thing while I'm sitting down in this very moment. The whole episode is what I mean. But I just decided to get changed for the appointment and I just put on a t-shirt and it just feels so unnatural to be sitting here talking to you guys like this, but we're here and we're doing it. I remember when I got my arms done last year and you guys were like, I just realized I don't think I've ever seen you in not a sweatshirt. And I'm like, that is on purpose. Anyways, as you guys can tell by the title of today's episode, today we're doing a What Would Sav Do? You guys know I love a What Would Sav Do. You guys love a What Would Sav Do. So here we are today doing another one. If you don't know what a What Would Sav Do is, let me break it down for you. A What Would Sav Do is where you guys let me know what's going on in your life, what you're going through, any issues, problems, the whole thing. And that's where Sav, hey, hi, hello, come in and tell you what I would do in your situation. I love doing these, not because I like when you guys have problems in your life, but because I like this feels very like chit chatty and I love a little chit chat moment with you guys. So I love doing these. So let's get on started. If you haven't, I feel like I always do this shameless self plug, but like if you want to be involved in the next What Would Sav Do, all you got to do is follow the My Thoughts Exactly Instagram page. And that's where we post everything My Thoughts Exactly related, included What Would Sav Do's. Okay. First one, hey Sav, I've been struggling with body image recently, especially with summer coming up. How do I get my confidence back, or do you have any tips? I love you. I love you too. Okay, yes, I was actually going to do an entire episode dedicated to just like body confidence and body positivity come summertime, because I think it's something that I know for someone who is like I have. I was going to be like, not struggled with body issues, but like, no, that's entirely what I have done. I feel like if you're someone who has or can resonate with that, then summer can oftentimes feel a little anxious, or the coming of summer can make you feel a little anxious because, typically in summer, it's warmer weather. People are in bathing suits, or people are wearing more revealing clothing. And sometimes that can make you feel uncomfortable, or make you feel like, oh, I'm not confident in my body enough to be able to wear that. Or like, I'm not happy with where I'm at with my body. And so I'm just going to cover up, and I'm going to be even more uncomfortable because I'm going to cover, and then I'm going to get hot, and then I'm just doing myself a disservice. So I've had all of these thoughts and all of these feelings. I think that something that I have learned through body image and myself in particular, and being comfortable in my own body, is that accepting the fact that my feelings on my body and how I look are going to be ever changing. They are going to be a constant roller coaster throughout the entirety of my life. I do feel like I will always be someone who one day I can feel like $1,000,000, and then one day I could want to crawl in a hole and not see sunshine for 3 to 5 business days. I think that I can kind of go back and forth, and I do think that I've come to terms with the fact that the fluctuation of thoughts and feelings regarding your body is very normal, and it's okay to sometimes just not be super happy with your body and how you look. What I have learned, and I say that because I do think that there is this narrative pushed of like, you can't feel that way. Like, it's body positivity. You can't feel bad about how you look because, you're beautiful, and like, no matter what. And that is all true. Like, all of that is true. But this narrative and like prerogative that gets pushed about like, you can't feel bad because like, we're just going to blanket this all with body positivity and like, everyone's beautiful. Yes, we're not saying that everyone's not, but it's okay to not feel okay or confident with yourself and with your body. That is okay. That is a normal feeling. Here's what I do. What I have realized with myself is the times that I feel the best are when I am actively just being healthy. If I know I'm hitting my workout goals, if I know I'm hitting my food goals, which for me is just eating a lot of whole foods, not a lot of processed foods, limiting my alcohol intake, if I know that I am doing that, that is when I feel the most confident, because I know I'm fueling my body with the best things that it can, or the best I can be at that time. What's funny is I've noticed when I don't do that, and when I'm drinking too much, or I'm just like, eating like shit or whatever, and then I step on the scale and I realize I'm still like, I haven't gained like 20 pounds overnight, because a lot of times we trick ourselves into thinking that. I realize like, okay, but I still feel like gross, and I still don't feel good, and I still don't like what I see in the mirror. And what I've realized is it's not about the number on the scale. It's not about necessarily how you look in the mirror. But for me, what's really important is how I'm actively taking care of my body. I get one of these things, and so do you. We get one body. And so I'm not going to spend that time actively shaming it. I'm not going to spend that time tearing it down, because that makes me sad. It really does make me sad thinking about all the times I've looked in the mirror and just like said the most horrible things in my head to myself. But what I can do is I can give my body the fuel that it needs. And in turn, when I'm taking care of my body, I feel more confident, because I know that I'm doing what I need to do in order to feel good. Does that make sense? I'm giving my body what I know that it needs and deserves. And mentally, that makes me feel like, okay, I'm doing good. Like, I'm doing okay. I'm giving my body what it needs. And it's not about the number on the scale. A lot of times it's not even about what you see in the mirror. For me, it's an internal thing of like, okay, I feel good, or I feel happy with, how I've been treating my body. I feel like I've been giving it what it needs. I've been exercising the amount that I like. That to me is a really, really big thing. And so for me, my biggest tip is, or not even tip, but what helps me the most, that's what helps me the most, is providing my body with the nutrients and exercise it needs. And when I do that, I feel the most confident because I know I'm taking care of myself. I guess that's the sentence summary of what I'm trying to say. I know that you're going to feel pressure during the summer. I feel pressure during the summer, even when I do feel confident. But I remind myself, this is my one body. So I can spend my time hating it. I can spend my time talking down to it. I can spend my time nitpicking it apart, or I could spend my time doing what I need to do in order to take care of it while simultaneously just loving it. A lot of it does come down to perspective. We're constantly out here comparing ourselves to other people, but we don't, we get one body, and it's this one. It's the one you're in right now. So how do you want to spend your time? Do you want to spend it constantly criticizing it? Or do you want to spend it maybe actually fueling it with good thoughts and also what you feel is necessary in order for you to feel good? I do think a lot of it is a mental game, but I also want you to know you're not alone. So just know that you're not alone. This is a very normal feeling, and if it makes you feel better, summer's going to come and go pretty quick. So enjoy your summer, and there's so many times I've looked back and I haven't been able to fully enjoy myself because I'm constantly worrying and I'm constantly like tugging at my clothes, or does this look okay? Or is this showing too much? Or like, oh, I don't feel like I look tan enough, or like, oh, I should have put this on instead. I could constantly go back and do the what ifs over and over and over again. But if I do that, I'm just going to be wasting time and energy that I could be actually just enjoying myself and enjoying my summer. No one is worried about you as much as you think that they are. No one is, actively looking at, or trying to tear you down as much as you are. We're all our own worst enemies. And so I think once we can really just like silence the noise in our head and take back control of it, that's going to help a lot. I feel like that was a very long-winded answer, but I hope that made sense. I'm carrying around a lot of guilt over things I did in the past from my teens and early 20s. I have severe anxiety from thinking about people I hurt in that time, and I don't know how to forgive myself. What would Sav do? I completely understand this. I feel like there has been many times in my life where I have hurt people. I have done things that I wish I could take back. I have made many, many mistakes. Cue all the story times here. But here's what I want you to remember. It is okay to forgive yourself. You at a certain point in your life have to give yourself permission to forgive yourself. You're not agreeing with the decisions that you've made, the actions that you've done, the things that you did in the past, but you're allowing yourself to move on from them. Clearly, by you acknowledging that you have guilt over things that you have done in the past, it means that you have evolved into a new chapter and a new era of your life where you wouldn't make those same decisions. We as humans are constantly changing and evolving and growing and learning. And we are not going to be the same people that we were a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And that's okay. It's how it's supposed to be. You acknowledging that you wouldn't do the things that you did in the past now is already growth. It shows me that you've already evolved to be able to understand that those were not good decisions. It's not that you're sitting here defending them. You're not backing them up. And you're not even saying like, oh yeah, I was young, dumb, and stupid. You're saying, I have guilt. I have guilt for the things that I've done in the past. I've hurt people. How do I move on? I think that the best thing that you can do is just really do some introspective work and allow yourself to forgive yourself, because at the end of the day, everyone else more than likely has moved on. Everyone else has continued moving on with their life. And I think it's a really great example of your own personal growth that you're able to be like, I have anxiety. I feel bad that I've done these things in my past and I've hurt people, but you need to understand there is no good that's going to come from just reliving that constantly over and over in your head. It doesn't do good for the other people involved, and it doesn't do good for you, because what it's doing is it's not allowing anyone to move on. If you are bringing it up to the people that you hurt, or if you're contemplating bringing it up to the people that you hurt years ago, which it doesn't sound like you are, but I would strongly advise against it, truthfully, because I don't think that any good comes from that. I don't think any good needs to come from digging up these past decisions that you made, because I think what you're really looking for is you're looking for acceptance and forgiveness from other people in this moment. You're looking for the people that you hurt to be like, it's okay, I forgive you. When in reality, you're not going to get that. The only person that you can or that can forgive you really at this point is you. I think you need to be able to move on and accept the fact that that was a past version of you that would not do those things again. And that's on personal growth. That's what's supposed to happen. We all make mistakes in our teens and early 20s. I could go down a laundry list of them for you right now that would probably make you feel better. It's not like you killed someone. You've made mistakes in your life. It's okay, but you're able to acknowledge them, and you need to be able to forgive yourself because you need to be able to move on. You need to be able to separate your past self from your future self and where you're going. I remember I had this therapist who would constantly refer to decisions that I would make as past Savannah, or that's the old Savannah. And that really helped me be able to differentiate who I am now and who I used to be. The old me would have done X, Y, and Z. The old me would have done these toxic things. The old me would have pulled out these toxic behaviors, but the new me has grown. The new me is able to recognize what's right and what's wrong and maybe why I did some of the things that I did. And the new me is able to forgive myself for the past decisions that I made. I know I hurt other people and I did not mean to in the process. I was just, not to make excuses, but I was hurt myself and I was damaged and I didn't care that I was being destructive. And in turn, I lost a lot and it wasn't worth it. But I have moved on because I've been able to forgive myself. Even if they don't forgive me, they probably don't. And I don't blame them. I'm not looking for forgiveness from them. I probably wouldn't forgive me either. But it's okay to be able to separate the old you and the new you and move on from that, because you have to in order to be able to move on in your life to that next chapter. So give yourself some grace. All right, next one. What would you do if you're in a relationship where things aren't bad, but they aren't good? We've been together for 3 months. Why do you want to be in a subpar relationship? Why do we want that? I know you don't, because clearly you're here talking and asking about it. So I know that you don't want that for yourself. And I think you should ask yourself, there's only 3 months into this. And to be fair, when you're only 3 months in, you're not super invested. And I think I'm the wrong person to ask this, because everyone's always like, well, if it's tough in the beginning, then it's always going to be tough. And I don't agree with that, because Hayden and I, it was not easy in the beginning, but I stuck it through and here we are now engaged. But I do think it was never like not good, but not bad. And I always knew that I loved him, and we still had so much good underneath the shit that we were going through, to where I could see a light at the end of the tunnel. And I think if you're asking yourself like, it's not good, but it's not bad, I think at that point, then it's just mundane, and then it's just bland and subpar. And you don't want to be in a relationship like that. You should be with someone who makes you so excited, and that you're so excited about the future with them. And, I'm sure that there were good aspects in the beginning that made you want to even pursue this into a relationship. But I really think you should ask yourself why you are staying in a relationship that is neither here nor there. It doesn't seem like it just kind of seems like you guys are floating in the middle. Like, it's not good, but it's not bad. I think that you deserve better than that. And I think that you should ask yourself if you think that staying in it is worth it. So those are my thoughts. That's what I think. If I were you and in your position, I hate breaking up with people. I don't think I've done it very often. I think I've maybe done it 2 or 3 times in my life, but sometimes you got to cut the cord. And I think that you should be with someone who makes you excited about being with them. And I don't think that that's staying in a mundane relationship. I don't think you're doing anything for yourself staying in a relationship like that. So I would probably end it if I were you and have a hot girl summer. That's what I would do. Okay, moving on. My boyfriend doesn't want to go ring shopping, but I want to because I want to see what I like in person. What would Sav do? I would ask yourself why your boyfriend doesn't want to go ring shopping in person. Is it because, okay, here's the thing. I feel like I'm missing a lot of context here. How long have you been together? What's the status? How are we doing in the relationship? Have you guys talked about marriage? Have you talked about the future? I know for me in particular, once Hayden and I started I really don't remember how the conversation of marriage came up. Hayden and I have always talked about it, to be honest. Like, even in the very beginning of us being together, we always talked about what our future was going to look like. And we knew that we always wanted to be together. It was just a matter of like when we were going to get engaged and when we were going to get married. So I don't know how the conversation came about where it was like, now we're going to talk about going and trying on rings. So I don't have any really advice for you on that. But for me, I would be more interested as to why your boyfriend does not want you to go try on rings. Is it because he wants to pick out the ring and he wants to make it a complete surprise? Or is it because he has cold feet about an engagement? And if that's the answer, then I think that opens up a way larger question of, is this a relationship that you want to be in? Because you want to be with someone who's sure about you. So if it's just because he wants it to be a surprise for you because he wants to pick it, that's one thing. If it's because he doesn't know if he's ready for marriage or he doesn't know if he wants marriage with you, that's a very different conversation. And I think I would ask him that. I would ask him, why don't you want to go look at rings? Because for me, I just want to go look at rings because I want to see what I like and what I don't like, because if we're going to get married, I'm going to be wearing this thing for a freaking long time. And so I want to see what I like and I want to see what I don't like. And I think that that's a very fair and valid thing to say. And then I would gauge how he feels about it and what he really reciprocates back to you. Is it, oh, when you put it that way, okay. Or is it still iffy about it? I would be iffy if he was iffy. If he was iffy, it would make me iffy. Why are you iffy? You shouldn't be iffy. Those are my thoughts. My boyfriend of 2 years won't tell me if he's in love with me or not. Miss girl, what are we doing? What are we doing? Are you telling me that he used to say that he's in love with you and now he hasn't because he's having doubts? Or are you saying he has never once in the 2 years you guys have been together said that he's in love with you? If it is the latter, I'm going to hold your hand when I say this in the most big sister, I love you, I'm here and support you way. This is not your man. It's not your man. If someone is sitting there telling you after 2 years that they don't know that they're in love with you, bye. They should be set. In my opinion, it should be a 3-month thing. I think it's a 3-month thing. So that's like my own hot take on it. Maybe it's more for some people, maybe it's less for others, but it certainly is not 2 years. It's certainly not 2 years. And I'm so sorry that you're having to deal with that. But let me tell you that there is someone out there who is never in their life going to make you question if you are worthy of love. And you should not be with someone who is sitting across from you telling you after 2 years that they don't know if they feel that way about you. That is absolutely ridiculous. And it sounds just like a cop-out. It sounds like, oh, well, like, I don't know. Like, no, actually you do. If he's saying he doesn't know, it's because he doesn't. It's not that he doesn't know. It's because he knows that he doesn't. Does that make sense? Are we there? Do you hear me? It's because he knows he doesn't love you. I'm sorry. I do though. I love you. But it's because he knows that he doesn't. And by saying that he isn't sure and that he doesn't know, it's giving him a buffer. It's giving him a cop-out. That is the harsh truth, big sister love. But I love you. And I'm here to tell you that you deserve better than that. You do. You absolutely 10,000,000% do. And you're going to find someone who, I promise you, in like a matter of weeks, not years, will say that they're in love with you, because it's not that difficult. It's really not. That's my take. Okay, this is a good one. How are you staying healthy this season of life when you have the free will not to? So this is something that I feel like I could create a whole episode about this. So free will, let's talk about it. So as becoming an adult and living on my own and having independence, I think I should give background. I grew up in a very fitness-oriented household, a very health-oriented household. I wouldn't say I had an almond mom, but I definitely had a juice cleanse, every morning, green juice, walking on the treadmill, dad and brother in the gym kind of family. So I grew up in a very fitness-oriented, health-oriented household. And I think health is the more emphasis there. It's not necessarily just the gym and fitness, but overall health was really important to my entire family and still is. So, having certain boundaries and restrictions on what we eat and don't eat and the quality of food that we have and the portions that we have and the desserts and the sweets. And, I feel like when I became an adult and I really was on my own and I realized, oh shit, I have free will. I can get ice cream from the grocery store if I want. If I want to stop home on the way home from or stop off before I go home on the way home from my errands or something and I want a Blizzard, I can do that. I never realized until that moment, oh my God, I have free will. I can do whatever I want. So then I went to the complete opposite side of the spectrum, and I started getting all of the unhealthy things, everything that like my mom probably would have slapped my hand at before. I was buying it, and I was reaching for it, and I was ordering it, and I was door dashing it. And like, I realized along the way, after I started doing that, I was looking in the mirror. And I know I said earlier, looking in the mirror isn't everything, but I was looking in the mirror and more so doing some introspective talking to myself and realizing I didn't feel good. I had free will, and free will felt good. But what I realized is what felt better than free will was feeling good internally and feeling healthy and feeling strong. To me, that feels better than the free will that I have. I feel like now, after years of, I've moved out of my house when I was 24. So I've had 4 years of really living on my own. And after realizing, yeah, I can eat whatever I want. Yeah, I can drink whatever I want. Yeah, I could have soda. I could have sugar. I could have candy. I could have sweets. I could have whatever. But what I realized is what feels better than all of that is actually feeling good about myself and feeling healthy and feeling strong. I think it's like when you tell kids, when they grow up, don't drink or don't do drugs, and you like emphasize it so much, and you're like, don't do this, don't do that. And you create these super strict boundaries, and then you let them grow up, and then they get to have a free for all. Or even worse, when you're a younger kid, you go off and you sneak out and you try and find ways to get your hands on things that you're not supposed to have. So while free will feels oh so amazing, I've learned what feels better to me is just feeling confident and feeling healthy. I'd rather have that. But what I've also learned pertaining to free will is that balance exists. And I think that once I went to the total opposite side of the spectrum after growing up in such a healthy household and realizing like I could eat whatever I want, I could drink whatever I want, sweet treats whenever I want, I realized, there is a middle ground to be found. I don't refrain myself from a sweet treat if I want one. I don't refrain myself from candy if I'm getting a craving for it. I don't refrain myself from really anything in life if that is what I want. And so I allow myself to indulge. I allow myself to enjoy, but I also allow myself to have balance. I want to feel good and healthy and strong. And so for me, a lot of that is balance. It's high protein, low carb meals. It's not a lot of processed sugar. It's really trying to stay healthy for the most part during the week. It's really not eating out as much. It's for the most part staying home and making home cooked meals that I know what the ingredients are. It's going to my local market and buying those types of ingredients rather than, anything else. Like I know where my food is coming from. And for me, that is something, or it's just the phase of life that I'm in right now that I can really appreciate. And so for everyone else, it's going to look different, but I love that because I think that no one talks about that enough. How to stay healthy in a season where you have free will not to. It comes down to self-control and discipline. And I think balance, because a lot of that, going back to what I was saying about like when you force someone not to have something for so long, like kids with, you tell them not to do something. What's the first thing they're going to want to do? They're going to want to go and have that. They're going to want to go and do that. They want to break that rule. So you give it, you open up the world is their oyster now. That's one of the first things that they're going to do. But if you just, and this is where, the metaphor transitions into life now when you have free will, you say, yeah, you could go get a Blizzard if you want. You could go get a milkshake if you want. But you could also go home and like have a really good dinner, and then if you're hungry after that, then you can have some ice cream if you want. Most times you won't want to after that. Or if you do, then you get some. It's more balance. So for me, the trick to that is like years of going through fluctuating on both sides of the extremes, while also understanding that free will feels great, but my health feels better. That's my point of view on it. I haven't seen my boyfriend in a month because he keeps flying to MLB stadiums. What would Sav do? Why is he doing that? Why? Is he in the MLB? Is he in the MLB? I don't know. Is it an internship? Is it a job? Or is it just for fun? Is it just because? If it's the latter, then that is strange. That is very odd. I don't have an answer for that because I feel like it's circumstantial. I guess it depends. But if you haven't seen your boyfriend in a month because he keeps flying to MLB stadiums, I would just be, why? Why is he doing that? Does he have to be? And if the answer is no, he doesn't have to be, he's just choosing to be, then he's obviously choosing MLB stadiums over prioritizing you. Question mark? I feel like I need more on that one. So feel free to DM me. I can't find friends in college. Anytime I ask anyone to hang out, they say no. They still live at home. What would Sav do? Making friends as an adult is a trip. it's a bitch and a half. It's a hill that you have to climb. It's hard. I've talked so many times about how to make friends as an adult, the best ways to make friends as an adult, tips and tricks. We have whole episodes on how to make friends as an adult. I'm sure based off of this that maybe you've tried some of those. I always like Facebook groups, Bumble BFF, just different, finding people that have common interests as you, whether that's workout classes or, just things in your area, in your school, in your college. There's a bunch of just groups in college that you could go and join. I know when I was in college, we had elective groups that you could join, and a lot of those derived from Facebook groups. You can find them there, or if you just ask around, there's going to be someone who knows where to find certain types of groups that you can join for certain hobbies or electives or things like that. I wouldn't be too discouraged just yet, because just know that this is a process, and it's something you're going to have to deal with throughout the entirety of your life, unfortunately, is trying to create friendships as an adult. It is hard. It is hard work. And it's not even trying to make friendships as an adult. It's keeping them is what's harder. I think that, it's a process. And I would just encourage you not to get discouraged over a couple people saying no. They just clearly weren't your people, but you will find them. You just have to keep pushing through. So I am wishing you the best of luck. Okay, you guys, that is going to be all from me today. I know that there are still so many that I did not get to, but we are going to be doing a part 2 to the What Would Sav Do? So if I didn't answer your question in this episode, I will be answering it in the next episode. Trust me, I'm going to get to them all. But with that being said, you guys, that is going to be all for me today. I hope you enjoyed this episode of What Would Sav Do? And greater than that, this episode of My Thoughts Exactly. Again, if you're new here, hi, my name's Savannah. I'm your host. Make sure you go ahead, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. That way you never miss an episode. We post weekly here on the podcast every single Friday. You're not going to want to miss it. I'll be back next week with part 2, and I'll see you then. Bye, guys.